Hey guys, Silenced here, and welcome to my flipping guide. So, if you are a beginner at flipping and making money off the Grand Exchange by buying and selling items, then this is probably the video for you. So in this video, I will specifically be talking about the basics of flipping, as well as low and high volume flips and how they work. So anyway, let's get on with it, and I hope you enjoy the video. So first, let's start off by defining what is flipping and how it works. So flipping is when you buy an item for a low price and you sell it for a higher price. And as you can see, I have an example of dragon bones. And to complete this flip, I will want to buy the dragon bones for the 1,660, which is at the top. And I will want to sell them for 1,665, which is at the bottom. And this will give me a profit margin of 5 GP or 0.3%. As the profit margin on this item is fairly low, this will be a high volume flip rather than a low volume flip. So now let's look at the difference. So a high volume flip is when you buy a large quantity of items for a low price and you sell it for a higher price. And a low volume flip is when you buy a small quantity of about 1 to 4 items for a low price and you sell it for a higher price. And as a rule of thumb, I like to have at least a 1% profit margin on high volume flips and about a 3% profit margin on low volume flips. So just an example so you can grasp this is if I was to buy a vial for 1 GP and sell it for 2 GP, my profit margin would be 1 GP or it would be 100%. And since this item is extremely cheap and I am only making 1 GP off it, this will be a high volume flip. So essentially I will want to buy a large sum of vials, so something like 100 or 200,000 vials for 1 GP, and then once they all buy, I will sell them all for 2 GP, doubling the money that I put into them. So now since you understand the basics, let's get into some real examples. So to start, let's start off by doing a high volume flip, and let's do some prayer potions, as these are typically a pretty good item to do, especially for free play. So just to check the profit margin on them, you're going to want to buy them for a really high price and then sell it back for a really low price. Then go to your sale history and you can see the difference between the buy and sell. So the difference is 89 GP in this case, and that 89 GP actually would come out to about a 3% profit margin. So this is a pretty good flip to do, and I'm going to go ahead and complete it. So once you decide that the profit margin is good enough and that you want to flip this item, you're going to want to go ahead and buy the item for what you sold it for. So I sold this one for 2,809 GP, so I'm going to buy 2,000 of them for that price. And then you're going to have to wait a while for them to buy. If they don't buy instantly, that is a good sign. If they do buy instantly, it means you probably did something wrong. But anyway, you're just going to want to wait for this to finish, and then you're going to want to sell them for the price that you initially sold the test file for. So now I'm going to check out vials, see if I can do that flip. This is a pretty simple flip. You can pretty much always buy them for 1 GP and sell them for 2 GP. And I was actually doing this earlier. As you could see, I bought over 400,000 vials for 1 GP each. And over the long span of time, I did sell the 400,000 for 2 GP each. So that was a pretty high volume flip and made me quite a bit of money, but it did take a long amount of time. So once you have put in your offers, you're really just going to want to be patient and wait for them to buy, and then you're going to want to sell them for the higher amount of GP or the higher price to make that profit. So now let's look at some low volume flips. So here's an example of a few high volume flips that I was trying to do. So as you can see, I bought these Torva boots for 11.85 million and they were worth about 12.3 million. So I'm going to sell them for 12.35 million. Hopefully they sell. These boots didn't really take too long to buy, just a few hours, and I'm expecting just a few hours for them to sell. and that's a pretty nice profit margin. I did flip them earlier, as you can see right there, so it was a pretty good flip, about 500k flip. So the Torva boots have been doing pretty well, and so I'm going to buy a few more items now for some more low volume flips. Typically all ancient gear, ancient equipment like Torva and Pernix, even Bandos and Armadillo armor are pretty good items to flip. So here I'm going to flip a Bandos chest plate. I'm going to try and make about 150k flip there. And I'll try some other pretty nice Armadillo flips as well. And I'll also check and see if there's a few more high volume flips that I can do that are a lot better using some other items that I typically like to flip. So here is an example of a Ceradomium brew flask. This pretty much is always a really nice item to flip. And as you can see here, I'm going to just test out the profit margins. So the profit margins on this flip are actually exceptional. I'm going to be able to buy them for 14,201 GP, and once they buy, I will sell them for 14,666 GP. So this is actually a really good flip, and you probably won't find one this good. It's actually a 3.2% profit margin flip, so it's pretty good, especially because it's a larger profit margin with the 450 GP. So typically, depending on how much money you have, that will be how much money you'll be able to make off this. As you can see, like, some people probably won't be able to do too many high volume flips with an item worth 14,000. So it really does depend on how much money you currently have. Depends on how much money you will be able to make flipping. So before I finish this video, I'd like to give you guys a few pretty good items that you can use to flip. And some of the safer flips would be items that are traded often, and you can find this list on the Grand Exchange Market Watch under the most traded items. And as you can see here, these are some of the pretty good items that you can use for high volume flips. And you probably do notice that most of them are flasks or potions and stuff used for PVM and stuff like that. So kind of focus on that stuff, because that stuff is purchased fairly often, which makes it a lot easier to flip. And here are some pretty good items for low volume flips, and these are pretty much any item that any weapon or armor that is worth over 1 mil. So some pretty good examples would be like Bandos equipment, Bandos chestplate, Tacit, boots, gloves, all that. And also Torva and Pernix equipment are pretty good as well. And as you can see, I listed the cost of them all and the estimated profit margin that you could expect. It probably will vary. It does vary, like every day. It does change. So this is just an estimate of what you should probably expect when flipping these kind of items. So anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed and you were able to learn something from it. And comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I love reading them and responding to every comment. But yeah, that is it for this video. So I hope I see you in the next one, guys. Peace.